Welcome to U2 Spain. That gets higher every week. Broadcasting live on YouTube. On today's show, we'll be chatting with our best mate Chris from Upsticks and asking him absolutely anything and everything about visas and residency and everything connected to that. We can do driving stuff as well, cars, Upsticks cars as well, if there's any questions about that. We've done this kind of show twice before and it was really popular. So you're in the right place to find out everything you need to know. And if you're watching the video back after the show, welcome. There will be chapter headings along the bottom of the screen and also in the video description, so you can easily scroll through and find any answers you need. But do watch the whole thing. Look out for loads of handy information and lively chat from beginning to end. There's also an update on the video diary for you, which came out yesterday. But there was a dramatic hospital visit last night after I released the video. So I'll tell you all about that in a minute. You're all very welcome to U2 Spain, still alive, and let's dance. Groovy baby. Right then, just before we get chatting as usual, don't forget to sign up for free to the monthly newsletter from the website u2spain.com, which is there, and it's your chance to stay in touch with everything to do with U2 Spain. And the latest one is due out today. It's the first of the month, so I'm going to be firing that out very shortly after the show ends today. So if you haven't signed up, then get that done very, very soon, and I'll make sure you get this month's special edition. And also find the special link below, and that's also on the newsletter, to enjoy a free account and advice from our lovely friends at Smart Currency Exchange, whom I highly recommend for when you're moving or buying a house here. But do use that link to get in touch with them. That helps U2 Spain out at no extra cost to you. And what do we say? It's a win-win-win with a cherry on top. It's turning into a jingle. Isn't that lovely? Now, without further ado, let's meet my wonderful guest for today. It's Chris from Upsticks. Hola, matey. How you doing?
Hola, good morning. How you doing?
Good morning. Well, yeah, not too bad. But a bit tired because it was I had a very late one. Didn't get back from the hospital till quite late. So I may as well give the update on that now while we're waiting to talk about the everybody and say hello to everybody on the live chat. I felt really, really hot last night about, 8 or 9 o'clock or something, and was about to go to bed, but started to feel a bit bad. And I'd been told on the official paperwork and information of anybody that's on IV chemo that if your temperature goes over 38 degrees, then go to emergency immediately. So I've got one of these temperature measuring things that you put in your ear. So I didn't know whether it was accurate or not, but I did feel hot. So, Liz tested it in her own ear and she was getting normal temperatures. So I thought, well, it's not the machine that's inaccurate then. So we had to set off down the hill and we walked out the door and it was raining. We headed out into a cloud. So Liz said this morning, got really, my shoulders are really hurting because she was driving like this because she couldn't see her way down the mountain driving through the cloud. But anyway, we got down there and once we got into triage, I'd already tested before we got in. I tested with the thing again and I was back down to normal temperatures, and she of course checked it. The doctor checked it, and so they did loads and loads of tests, and the blood test and the blood pressure, and everything seemed quite normal again. Well, normal for what I'm going through anyway. So yeah,
you're pretty quick though through emergencies. Was it a couple of hours?
It was less than a couple of hours, I think. I mean, the first time I went to emergency, when I think it was the first time I did the chemo tablets with the radiotherapy, I was into the hospital the day or two after that, and that took 45 minutes. But this time was maybe it was the time of night. It was a Friday night. They only had one triage open, and there was a guy who'd come in the ambulance, so he was being triaged, and that took a little bit of time. So it lasted a little bit longer last night, and I think yeah, it was just the time of night.
Wow.
But yeah, very efficient. I mean, in the blood tests only take. I can't believe that it takes such a short time to get the results of your blood test. So then you go back into the to see the consultant, and yeah, brilliant service. Less than a few hours. If that was the UK or Ireland, you'd be there all night. And Liz had said to me, just make sure it takes some overnight stuff just in case, but didn't need it.
That's good. Yeah, and if they take you in overnight, you just go there and then, so you'd have to be prepared. So
Yeah,
or they're sending Liz back up the hill to get your overnight stuff.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so
There we go. So that's good. Anyway, it's still alive.
brilliant.
Brilliant. And always remember if you're allergic to anything, because I was just talking to Chris before the show. Actually, this was they ask you every time, is there anything you're allergic to, any allergies? And that, I think in the UK and Ireland, that's something that's on their screens anyway. I think it's on page 1 that comes up when your records come up. It tells them whether you're allergic to anything. But not in Spain, because it's a bit more like conveyor belt system in Spain. You've got to tell everybody. They go through all of the same questions each time. So it's a good idea to have all of those answers ready and translated into Spanish as well. Get used to saying those words. Fortunately, the word for penicillin is the same. They all understand that one.
You must have been asked about 50 times if you're allergic to anything so far.
Yeah. And there was one time I had brain fog. I couldn't remember what it was, so I was trying to babble through this. What's that? It's like something that everybody takes. It's famous. It's like it's the antibiotic. Everybody, it's antibiotic. She's going.
It's discovered by.
Yeah. Yes. There you go. But yeah, I remembered last night. Actually, I didn't remember straight away. She said, "Any allergies?" I went, "No, not really." And Liz said, "What about penicillin?" I went, "Oh yeah, penicillin," and that's really important, especially after, with what I'm going through. The symptoms you get are like flu symptoms, and of course, if your blood cell count is down, you might have caught something. So, and penicillin would be the first thing they give you. It'd be antibiotics. So, there we go. Right, let's see who's on the live chat. Loads of you today. Good morning, Jed Tierney. Oh, he's saying, here we go, this is important. Just wanted to let people know about Karen from the Scottish couple in Spain. That's another YouTube channel who, like me, are being cared for by the Spanish health system. Best wishes to you and Karen. Thank you so much, Jed. Yes, best wishes to them. I'll have to watch all of their latest videos then. I hope they'll give us a nice update on that. Good luck. And Anton cares are on, and I'll be answering your latest email update. You two, that came in a few days ago, and I'll be speaking to you soon. So that is lovely. Robbo says, "Morning, everyone." He's getting all of his stuff sorted out soon, isn't he?
Yeah, big shout out to Robbo. Done really, really well. It's next week, the appointment. So good stuff. We had it was this month. The appointments opened really, really late for BLS, and everybody really nervous that they weren't actually going to open any. But then they just opened up a flood of appointments, and it was all good. But
good news. Yeah. Excellent. And Robin Villa and Victoria and Kim Bailey and David Tunma, I notice, are all paired up with your channel, which is brilliant. So anybody who's not done that yet, set off Chris's Upsticks YouTube channel in another little tab on your browser. Make sure you turn the volume down on that one though, otherwise you'll get some kind of feedback thing. And yes, Paul Cook, good morning. And Ant says, I look better than last night's episode. Hope that's in reality. Well, that's good to know. Yeah, I did feel a bit rubbish yesterday. I don't feel particularly brilliant today, but I've had a small coffee this morning, so I think that's really helped. And Robbo says, Jed, I believe Karen has improved according to Barry's last update. Yay! It's happened already. Mark says, good morning, Skatz. And Paul's going to get Chris's channel up on another device. Yes, you can do that on several devices. I've actually got my own, a separate YouTube thing going on my phone down there, so I can watch it. I need to, yes, well reminded, I need to take that off. There you go. Got to remove the
We're only
Bluetooth from there.
10 subscribers away from 3,000 now, so hopefully this will push it over the edge.
Ah, brilliant. Yes, everybody subscribe to Chris's channel. Okay. Brilliant. And see, Chris is undercover. We need undercover for rain. Yes, it's raining in France. Sorry about that. And David Tumler says, special shout out to Chris and his team. Visa not turned up yet. Still, it's only been 2 weeks. Yeah, that's a bit too early to expect. Whereabouts are you based, David? Did you know that one, Chris?
It was in the Manchester consulate, so we're in that area.
Right. Cool. Oh, Robin Villa has got a question. There we go. Let's get on to some questions. Because let's just before we do that, have you got any more shout outs? Was it Mike?
I was going to shout out to Robbo because and he's done so well to get everything together, and it's good that we're at this part of the journey now. We'll see through the channel and everything that he found us, and also Mike, who I was with last week. I went out to Marbella, and Mike not only watches our channel, which is your channel as well, but he was he gave us a lot of advice on the cancer side of things as well. So great feedback from his appointment at the consulate, and so I thought, it'd be great to go out and meet him if I can get a chance. I happen to be in the area, so I thought, let's do it, and I went to the appointment. It's also quite nice to get out and about now and then.
Yeah, because you do get stuck on the phone quite a lot.
Yeah. Well, as you know, you got the pleasure of working with me for a couple of hours the other day, didn't you?
I did, yes. Yeah. It's got, because the appointment that I have every 3 weeks now is really early in the morning. I've got to get a blood test at 8 o'clock in the morning, and it takes you quite a while to get in. It took us over half an hour to get in from your place, and that's really close. But if I had to drive or get a lift from somebody here, I'd have to be up at 5 to leave at 6, and to guarantee that I'll get to the hospital for in enough time for the blood test. So stayed overnight at yours, which was brilliant.
Yeah. Well, it took 25 minutes if I'd remembered to put petrol in the car. So
yeah. There was the car swap debacle with the keys as well, swapping keys, and that was funny.
I've done it this week now.
Yeah, so everybody watch the video diary update. If you haven't already, you'll get to hear all of the stories about that.
It's definitely an adventure.
It was, wasn't it? So what we're going to do today is wait for any questions to come up on the live chat, and if there are any gaps in between questions, I've also Googled the most frequently asked questions about visas, which turned out to be quite an interesting search, and quite amusing, some of the questions. So I'll throw a few of those in depending on whether we've got time or not, and how many questions are coming in on the live chat. So back to Robin Villa. When renewing our year 2, 3 and 4 and 5 on the NLV, we must show proof of school enrolment for our kids. After 5 years in Spain, we plan to apply for long-term residency. Will we need to show this for long-term visa? That's a good question, actually. Yeah, what do you need to show after the 5 years to get your permanent residency?
Yeah, that's a good question, because they mainly focus on the longevity, or it's how long you've stayed in Spain. Okay, so if you look at the official page from the government, it doesn't mention anything about proving healthcare or money. Obviously, it's always good to be able to show them how you're going to continue to support yourself in Spain. But when it comes down to children, yeah, it's depending on the age. They may have left schooling at that point, but if they are still in schooling, then you will need to show, obviously, the birth certificates and the fact that they are at school. So yeah, it doesn't mention it on there, but it's definitely a good idea to show it when you make the application.
So belt and braces as usual. Show them everything. Yeah.
And say if they're in education, it shouldn't be a problem to get the paperwork anyway. So I would definitely prepare that at the end of the 5 years and submit it with your permanent application.
Great. Paul Cook says both channels streaming now. Well done, Paul. And Anton Kerr says we're allergic to 8 months rain. Yeah, it really has been a rainy year in France up there. And hopefully it clears up for it's the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landings, which they're heading off to take part in tomorrow, I think it is. Is that all start tomorrow? I think the anniversary is on the 8th. When was it? 6th, if memory serves. 6th of June is the anniversary. Yes. So, Jed Tierney says, in the UK, if I go to A&E, I now take a backpack with food, water, phone charger and headphones because of the long waiting times. Yeah, not surprised. Mark says, we're looking to rent for 3 months from September onwards before committing ourselves. What advice would you give us for a timescale to apply for our NLV? Good question.
That's a very good question. I could go on about this for a long time.
Yeah, go for it.
That's what we do all day, you know. So if you're looking, so one thing you have to be aware of initially is that if you're looking to rent in Spain and you're only looking to rent for 3 months, there are some areas which you're going to need to have a padron certificate, okay, which is a registration at the town hall to prove your address when registering the visa, okay. And I say some areas because Malaga, for example, we always ask people to get a padron if possible, but we can get away with not having one. And I'm just looking to see if that sign's going to fall on my head.
Oh, it could be.
Live, let's just carry on that anyway. So.
Yeah, it'll be exciting.
Wind's picking up. So yeah, in terms of a timeline of getting your visa, well, if you're looking to be in September, you really need to be cracking on with the paperwork now, because the visas are in summer. They generally take a little bit longer to come through. So definitely the September entry date, I'd be saying really the latest you want to be going to an appointment would be mid-July, early to mid-July. That'd be the latest you probably want to go, which means we're already in June. You should be starting your paperwork already because things like ACROs are taking a long time to come through. Bearing in mind as well that the summer, we're cranking up for summer, so even people who are arranging health insurance and stuff like that, generally they're very, very busy and it might take a little bit longer just to get that in place. And yeah, make sure what area that you're going to will allow you to register the visa with a 3-month contract. So maybe you're grabbing an Airbnb or something like that. As I say, in Malaga, that's not normally a problem. There's certain police stations in Alicante that we can get away with it, and Murcia as well. Other areas are quite strict, like Granada always asks for a padron certificate, even for the first registration. So that's something you'd have to check out.
Yeah, tell us where you're moving to, Mark. That might help.
Yeah.
And the thing that first stands out for me there is if you're thinking about September onwards. September is the time when a lot of landlords stop renting their properties to the holiday makers and they start thinking about, the more long-term rents. So that is a good month to start looking. Although a lot of the time it's kind of from halfway through September. It depends on what area you're in and how much of a holiday area it is. But you will start once you get your feet on the ground there and start talking to the locals about which properties are coming up, and landlords will be thinking on their feet there as to, they'll be waiting for all of the summer bookings to dry off, and then they'll go, right, let's take a long term, if that's what they do. We actually turned up in October, and that was a lot easier.
You got a year. Obviously, yours is long term. What you've got to be a little bit wary of. I mean, it falls in conjunction with the school holidays, doesn't it? Normally, the school holiday dates, and then once that finishes, they look for maybe winter rent. So you just got to be a bit aware with a winter rental, is if it's going to dump you in May or June without somewhere to live. That's the most difficult time to try and find somewhere to live. So. Sometimes we've had it a couple of times. Again, it depends on the town hall. Some town halls are really, really, really strict. So we just had one from Arona in Tenerife, which was just a horrific application to get a padron because they wanted everything, blood samples almost. But not quite, but you'll get in there. And then other town halls, like the smaller villages in Granada, will let you just have a 6-month contract to sign you on because they're quite happy for you to be there. But you don't want to be in a position where you're looking for a long-term rental in May. I would say that's not a good idea.
No. Not.
Which then you get back into the realms of, well, if I can get a 3-month rental in a place which is going to allow me to register the visa without having a padron, then that should give me enough time to try and find a rental or a property to buy, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yes.
you have an issue with agents and rentals, because I've approached so many agents, and it's pre-planning a rental is such hard work. And we always say, you know what, I consider it to be investment money renting. Get your feet under the table, do your discovery while you're here. And then how do you get a rental? And I'm like, I don't know. So it's a double-edged sword, because it's so hard to get rentals.
Yeah, and a lot of people, just like we did, we were looking in having no need to get a visa, but we just happened to have some friends who would put us up for a little bit while we searched for a rental, and we basically just visited all of the places that we thought we might like to move to, went into estate agents, talked to locals, because looking on things like Idealista is not going to get you very far, I don't think. You can get an idea of what's available, but you don't get to find out about any of the properties that come up and go really, really quickly in certain areas. And we happened to grab one that had only just come up. So
certainly striking up a relationship with an estate agent, and maybe I would say, so they sit sometimes, and this is just talking from personal experience as well, and what I've seen is it's really strange, because when they show the houses, they have an order. So if you're inquiring in places like Idealista, a lot of the estate agents work in a sort of an order. Well, he was second to request a viewing, so you were second in the list. But then they don't particularly vet the people before they do the showing, regarding financials and stuff. And they're quite strict on that here. So if you were proactive and did build up a relationship with an agent, and also being able to show them that you can afford in the region of what you're looking for, then it might help.
Yeah, definitely. And we had an extra. We brought a bit of a wad of cash over with us, and we offered that as part of the deal, and said, not just, we don't mean a backhander. I mean, we'll pay this amount in advance just to show you that we're absolutely serious about taking this. And you make sure you take receipts for all of that kind of thing, and so it's all fair and above board and all contracted. But some people will go, oh, all right then, and then they throw you to the front of the queue. And if you can't immediately prove everything that they normally say, like you've got a job, or your self-employment hasn't started up yet, which ours hasn't, but just to show you that you're serious about the whole thing. And that worked well for us.
Yeah, and always have the contract looked over if it's long term as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Whether it's long term or not, get it looked over. And there's all of that. The issue with either the 11-month or 12-month contracts, but it's not actually that's the important thing. It's whether it's a contract that needs to be renewed. Yes. After it completes the 11 or 12 months or whatever it is, because at that point, if it's just I can't remember what they call it, temporada or something, that kind of contract, that only lasts for the period of the contract, and then the landlord can renew it with a completely different rent, or they can kick you out. Whereas if you get the long term one, it lasts for 5 years, and there's no chance of them renewing it with a much higher rent.
Yeah, it should, on the contract, it should stipulate that it relates to the LAU law, the conditions of that, and then they can only put your rent up as per IPC, which, for example, if you had €1,000 rent this year, that would have gone up around 29 euros, I think it is.
Yeah, 3%.
Yeah, it was 3%.
Yeah, it was 2% last year, 3% this year, and I think it's 4% next year. They gradually put it up. So. Hope that answers your question, Mark. And my David says, morning chaps. Morning from Chris Hardman and No Expectations, who's also paired up, and Kim Bailey. And Kim says, reservation paid up on property yesterday. Vendor wants completion by 3rd of July. Is that a realistic timescale? We'll try for golden visa before the summer. Any thoughts? Yeah, get that application in really quick.
Yeah, that's yeah. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to get the application until you buy your property,
Yeah.
but that is realistic. If again, a lot of people, we get asked this question again all the time. Yeah, how long does it take to buy a property in Spain? Well, if the paperwork's in order, it can all be pretty relatively quick. So,
Mm.
what we don't tend to have here in Spain is the things that we have in the UK, like the chains. So you find that there seems to be a chain which can delay a property sale in the UK, whereas here the delays are 99% paperwork based. So if there's a discrepancy with the land registry or anything else, then if there's a mortgage involved as well, so stuff like that. But a cash buy, really, in theory, depending on the availability of a notary and your conveyancing lawyer, it should be pretty quick.
Mm. Yes. Good stuff. Anton Kerr said, 4 spare cars, 4 spare sets of keys. That's what you need in your house, don't you? You need an extra 2 cars and an extra 3 sets of keys for each car. So you can have them hung up around in various different locations.
I was thinking, well, that's why I keep the spare keys in the office. I always keep spare keys in the office so we don't lose them, because the default, when you can't find a key, you go for your spare and then end up losing one, which I've done before. But that doesn't work when you take both keys with you, does it?
No. No. And you've got that car swapping thing, 'cause you've got a big car and a small car.
Yeah.
And so one's good for family stuff and the other's good for just pottering around and going around the city. So, yeah. And Ant says, no, where did I leave my glasses? Brilliant. Tracy Catlin says, hi, I'm confused about renting. I've heard that you have to prove a year-long rental agreement, but we want to move about. Can we do this? Oh, this is interesting. Yes, because people like to go and move into different areas, and I know people as well who turn up with a motorhome because they want to move around, but that's always difficult to do the padron. They're saying, can we do this? Does it matter if we move out of the original province or area?
So the problem with, if you manage to get your TI, say for example you're talking about coming on a non-lucrative visa, then if you manage to get your TIE card on a temporary address, to say they don't always ask at the first registration for padron, then in theory, traveling around in the year wouldn't be a problem. It's when you come to then renew again. Okay, so you then have to, when you renew, you have to renew in the province in which you reside. So if you've moved provinces, you want to go somewhere else, they're going to want to see why you're renewing in that province and not the previous province that you registered with. So yeah, it can be a problem. You can get away with it, I'd say, for the first year, but it definitely could be a problem on renewal, if not at the point of application, at the point of actually getting your TIE card, because on renewals they check the address to see if anything's changed, and a lot of the time they do ask for proof that you're actually still at that address, or if you've changed, evidently you would need proof of that change, which is a padron certificate.
Mm-hmm. So do you have to prove a year-long rental agreement?
No, so to get, again, you don't, in terms of immigration, when you go to the consulate, so right at the beginning, you don't have to prove there. If say you're a UK citizen going to one of the BLS offices, you don't have to prove any sort of rental contract there. When you get here, visa in hand, as I said, some places will allow you to register it without the padron, so you wouldn't necessarily need your year-long contract then. But certainly on renewal, you would need a contract which is viable for a padron. Okay, so, and some places don't require a year, some places do. Most of them will require a contract which abides by the law that we spoke about, the long-term rental laws. As I say, some smaller places you can get away with not having that, but most places do. Certainly here in Malaga, they do anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you might, if you structured it properly, you could get away with traveling for a year, but you're certainly going to need a padron, I'd say, to renew.
Great stuff.
The other thing is, obviously, if you're coming on an S1 and you've got state healthcare, you have to get a padron because the Social Security won't register you without one. So you would definitely need one.
Great stuff. Okay. We're making sure, by the way, everybody, that we try and finish by 11 today because Chris has got other stuff to do shortly after that. And my coffee will probably have run out by then. I might just flop down onto the desk. No, I don't think it's that serious. So we will go to the halfway point in a moment, but keep on asking your questions down in the live chat. I don't think we're going to have time to do any of the pre-prepared questions, which is great because we like to answer you. And Big Bones Today, great name, says, can you tell me what the visa I'd need to open a bar in Benidorm? Well, you need a certificate from your mental institution, first of all, if you were going to do that. No, but seriously, the bar isn't a current trading business, so I'm not buying the actual business, just renting the business property. It would be me. Cheers. So yeah.
Obviously, if you've got an EU passport, you wouldn't need a visa. You could come here and structure it as an EU citizen with a right to work. And if you've got a British passport or you're a third country national, you'd need a self-employed visa for that, or a golden visa, depending on if you were buying a property next door to Benidorm, which would then give you the right to work as well.
Yes, and the disadvantage of the fact that it's not a current trading business is it is more difficult. You need a much better business plan to show that it's the kind of business that will survive. That's it. Yeah.
A viable business, which includes. Say we don't do the self-employed visas in Upsticks, but I know it includes things like your qualification to run the bar, stuff like that, and you know, how many people you employ, and the effect and how it's going to affect the local economy.
Yes, and bear in mind you're going to be working 24 hours a day. And you won't have a chance to go out and celebrate birthdays or anything else in life. So just bear in mind, really think hard about whether you want to open a bar if you've not done it before. It's a dream that so many people have had, and the number of bars that, not just because of COVID and everything, number of bars that shut down very quickly because it's a tough life. But anyway, it can be very satisfying.
Yeah. I mean, it is tough. It's tough. I always take my hat off to people who work here in the hosteleria industry. You know, they work extremely hard, and sometimes people don't realise that when they're ordering a beer at 9 o'clock at night, they don't realise the person who's serving it's been on their feet for 10 hours and expect a big smile. And it's hard.
It is, yeah. Got a couple of friends from Computer who opened a place on Algarrobo Costa, just directly down from us, and they're really packed on a. It's not a huge place, but they're packed on a Monday because one of the owners, the husband, he sings live there on a Monday afternoon, and they've got a regular, really good clientele there. But I went down on a Monday just to visit them, and it was so windy, absolutely nobody turned up, and so. That's the sort of thing that you have to go through and think, well, normally this is our best day of trading at this time of year, and which is unusual for it to be a Monday, But they said no. So today's a disaster. We'll just close early and roll with the punches, kind of thing. Yeah. There you go. Robbo says, can you get your Padron before you got your TIE? You need to.
Yeah, you certainly can. In fact, we'll ask you to do that when you come here.
Exactly. Good. Right, let's go to the halfway point very quickly then, and it's the usual stuff. You know what it's all about, don't you? You're all the regular guests on today. It's the message from me and my alter egos about everything that's available to you as U2 Spain fans. So take it away, Skatz and the guys. Are you getting the most out of U2 Spain? I don't know! Did you know that apart from these Saturday morning live shows with expert guests, or expats with really exciting stories to tell, it's like the Graham Norton show. Bah! There are videos every Wednesday evening, packed
with all the information you need so we can move to Spain and enjoy living here without paying tax.
No, Colonel, that's illegal.
But you can find out how to navigate the bureaucracy successfully.
Well said, Walter.
How do I find the videos? Just subscribe to the YouTube channel, darling.
And click on the bell, you useless
Colonel, there's a playlist here called Video Diaries.
Oh, now that is Skatz's thrilling personal story about his life and health in Spain.
Still alive!
Hashtag FOF.
You can support U2 Spain as well, my darlings, if you think you've learned something valuable, or if you've been entertained.
Skatz looks like he needs your support.
The poor bugger can't even stand up. If he was a horse, I'd shoot him.
Colonel, he's not a very nice man.
It's all right. He's just a two-dimensional stereotype.
Aren't we all, sweetie? I'm not. Brexit.
Moving on.
So how do we support U2 Spain?
Use the QR code in the corner.
Or there's a link in the video description below.
I can't find it anywhere, darling.
In the video description, you idiot.
I've warned you, Colonel. I'll send you back to the nunnery.
While you're watching or pausing, below the video, you'll see the title. Just here.
Oh, I see it.
Not far below that, there's a description of what the video is all about. It says, read more.
That's right. Just click or tap on that and lots more text appears.
What's the information all about?
There's contact information for the expert guests and lots of links to other related companies that I recommend. And they help out U2 Spain if you use those links to get in touch with them.
There's so much down below.
Ah!
Does anyone have a pen?
No need, Tommy. You can find everything on our website.
U2Spain.com.
And don't forget the Facebook page.
And the U2 Spain community group, where you can talk to other people like you. There's no one like me, sweetie.
Thank goodness.
Is that everything? There's a guest waiting to tell me things.
Oh, I do like things.
Where's Doogie Dog? That used to be his line. I'm stuck behind a wall.
Oh, sorry, Doogie. I'll come and find you after the show.
Thank you, master.
Get back to the show. I need to go and punch some servants.
Oh, Colonel. Back to Skatz in the studio.
Fabulous. Thank you, Skatz, Walter, Dick, Tommy, Colonel and Doogie Dog for joining us. If you have any questions for any of them, ask in the comments. Yes, and for people who are watching afterwards as well, keep your questions coming in the comments and we'll try and answer those ones as well. And yeah, don't forget about the video diary, which reminds me, Chris interviewed me for his podcast on Thursday when we were at the hospital. So look out for that one. When's that coming out, Chris?
I'll have that out in. Good question.
Yeah.
I don't know. I reckon it'll be by the end of next week, hopefully. I'll put it on as a premiered one so that everybody can see it and been watching it. So it's been pre-recorded, but we'll put it as premiere. So I'd hope to get it out by next week. I didn't manage to get the video out this week and during the week, unfortunately, but I've got my weekly updates coming and a good podcast tonight, and then yours will come after that. So yeah, that was good as well. It was strange me asking you questions.
It was, yeah. It was odd me not having any kind of script, just chatting away in the sunshine. We were actually in the secret cafe that I mentioned in the video diary. So yeah, that was good fun. And right, let's get back to the questions then. Emily Mason. Hola from Ibiza. Hope you're all okay. Yes. Been here for 2 months and in the middle of the paperwork process. Not sure if things are different in the Balearics, but it's slow and hard work.
Yeah, and we struggle to get appointments in the Balearics. And even with the sub-delegations of the government, we submitted an application, which we normally get a notification that it's in process pretty soon. And then it can take a while after that, but you get that notification. Well, we didn't get the notification for a month that it was even in process. You have the proof it's been submitted, but it tends to be quite slow there. And they also struggle for ITV appointments and stuff like that.
That's good to know. There's a two-part question here from No Expectations. Let's just fill in the gaps around that. Mark says we're looking around Alicante area. Remember we had a question from Mark earlier.
Okay, yeah, Alicante is, we have to try and book at a Pacific place for if you don't have a padron available at the time, but it can be done.
Then to buy a property after the rental for a permanent residence, that's their plan. So yeah, that's good to know. You could buy a property in that length of time and be in. It might be quite tight.
Yeah, but so in Alicante is one of the provinces that we have to manage where it goes to, but you can get away with not having a padron.
Oh, Jed's got an interesting one. I read that the FC Malaga player manager has returned to the UK, citing visa delays. That's interesting. You'd think they'd push that one through quickly if it's because a Malaga football team's important, isn't it?
Yeah, I hadn't heard that. I didn't see that.
Yeah, and we were there at the stadium the other day, weren't we?
We were, yeah, in the shop.
Buying the shirts. I want to know what all the different second strips are, whether they're all second strips, because they play in blue and white. But I was going to put all these photographs. I didn't have time because I was running late for time when I was putting out the video diary. But I had loads of photographs that I'd taken that I wanted to display, including the one of me standing next to that tree with with obviously loads of people have hit their head on this branch just as you come into the hospital entrance. And they've got the tape wrapped round it, the sort of safety tape, so that you can see it. But I actually, when you were taking the picture, I actually bumped right into it because there was a bit sticking out towards me that I didn't see. So still damaged myself, and that was just to take a photograph.
The guy, it was quite funny because the guy who walked past us said exactly the same as you did in Spanish. He went, I wonder how many people have hit their head on that. And he walked past and went, I wonder how many people have hit their head on that.
Brilliant, yeah. So next video diary, I'll put all of those photographs up, and you can see the wonderful purple and green. Presumably, it's an away strip that Malaga play in, which I think I'd buy one just for the colours anyway. It's lovely. I should support the local team. Not that I'm much of a football fan, but there you go. Right, let's get on to this question from No Expectations. Here's the first part of the message. Just received my non-lucrative visa, which expires 3rd of September. I want to be out of the tax system this year, but having been in Spain in January and February already, I can't enter Spain until after the 18th of August. Yes, so you're talking about tax residency there. Excuse me. Is 15 days... Oh, yeah. So it's 15 days to get, our padron, tenancy agreement and our appointment for the TIE. Are there likely to be rentals for short periods in the Malaga region? Trying to keep under the 183 days. As I said before, that's the tax residency situation there. Getting short-term rental in Malaga on 18th of August is going to be tough, I would say. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I say it would be tough. It's not impossible what you're trying to do, but you've got to there's a couple of things there. One thing is you say the visa expires in September.
Yeah. What does it say? 3rd of September. So yeah, it's going to be... Oh, I see. So that's the 15 days. Can't enter Spain until after 18th of August. So, and the visa expires on the 3rd. So they've only left themselves a really small gap.
The first thing is if you've got an entry stamp before the expiry of the visa, do not travel after that. So if you get an appointment booked to register your visa, because at the moment we're already booking at the end of July, some places. So the way it's working, it's a bit crazy with the visa registrations. Here in Malaga, I managed to book, we had a couple of renewals approved, and I managed to get 2 appointments for this Monday come in for people to go to Marbella who actually live in Mijas, because when we checked on Fingerola, they only had 1 at the end of July. So, and they need the card. So we managed to get that in. But for people who are coming over now, the appointments are running in July. So make sure whatever happens that you do not travel after the expiry of the visa. You can register if you've got an entry stamp before you put your appointment booked, because it shows on the appointment booking sheet when you actually booked it, and they're understanding that the appointments are hard to get. But if you travel after the expiry of the visa, then an entry stamp after that, then you're not going to get your TR income. So that's the first point to make. And then, yeah, definitely, it could be quite tough in Malaga, I'd say, in August, because that's the whole. So any rentals which are available would be taken up by Spaniards, I'd say, because Spaniards generally go on holiday in August as well. So you're not only competing with the rest of the holiday makers from other nationalities, you will be competing in August with Spaniards as well, because that's when they generally go away. And on that point, the reason is because a lot of children break up from school now in 20 days' time. And we have these things called campamentos, and campamentos will cover us for July. And that's, what's it called in English, where the kids go to a summer camp.
Summer camp, yeah.
But generally they stop. So some will run into August, but they'll stop in August as well. Hence why everybody goes on holiday at that point, and why it's hard to get anything done.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. The thing I'm noticing there, I think there's a discrepancy between the when your visa expires. That's the date that you need to have got into Spain
Before
then. But it looks like the question is assuming that once you're in there, haven't you got 90 days from then to get everything sorted? You don't just have until the visa expires, do you?
No. So in theory, what they tell you is you've got 30 days from entry to get it sorted out. But that never happens, to be honest, because getting appointments is a hard. This is why we're referring back to getting that entry stamp and making sure the entry stamp's before expiry of the visa, because that's when they're going to take your residency from. Because they can't give you residency after the visa expires if you've got an entry stamp after the visa expires. So it's so important to make sure that if you are going to have any sort of delays, at least you get your appointment booked. So when you go to your appointment, you say, look, I booked it 2 months ago, and that entry stamp isn't after the expiry.
Excellent. Okay. Hope that answers your questions there. And let's see who else we've got. Mark says, we've been watching you for 2 years now, whilst our UK home was up for sale. It's now sold. Congratulations. I've heard the housing market's been quite good over the last. I saw a headline yesterday that the housing market's still holding firm, and it was on its way up. So that's looking positive for people who are selling their property, I think. And Anton Kerr said, plug for Chris Upsticks, anyone needing residency and the paperwork needed. Absolutely, yes. Do use Upsticks. And as per Chris, get all your ducks lined up in a row.
Yeah.
And Richard Potts said, morning guys, good to see you both. Me and the wife, Nonny, you are looking to move to Spain around Elche and potentially open a chalet B&B. That sounds lovely. Whereabouts is Elche? I've heard of that.
Murcia, I think.
Murcia. Lovely. Richard said the plan is to buy a property, come over on an LV, and then prepare the site and prepare the business plan for the first year with a view to change the visa to autonomo on renewal. Good. That's a good way of doing it, getting your feet on the ground, and it gives you a chance to get a really good business plan together and prepare the property. Yeah.
Yeah, you're always in that grey area there, aren't you? Whether where you're not actually allowed to work. So if you're working on something that you're going to turn into a business, is that illegal? Well, or how would they even know that you're doing that? Now, if you own a property, there's nothing stopping from you being on an NLV and doing up your own property. You know, you not. But what you can't do is then rent it out and managing it while you're on the NLV, because that would be considered self-employed.
Yeah.
And 12 months is quite a short time, so maybe give yourself enough wiggle room if you have to go into the renewal period for year 2, just to give yourself some wiggle room.
Yeah, because if you apply for your autonomo, like on month 11 of your first year, and you don't get it, then you might have waited for 90 days for the answer as to whether you've got your self-employment visa,
like,
and then
if you've got your second year renewal in place and you can manage the the Autonomo application after that. But I'd say things like the craziest things like getting your water connected or something like that. There'll be delays when you're doing. Yeah, so it may not happen. The plan may just go boom straight away, a year. But I would say in your financial structuring, always give yourself the wriggle room that if you have to pull back on a renewal, you've got it in place.
Yeah, absolutely. I've known people who've come here to do, open a B&B, and it's been nearly 2 years by the time they got it all sorted, and they've had the builders in. They've had delays with certain builders, and they've had to make alternative arrangements until they can get it all going through, and had to extend their visa. So yeah,
and tourist licenses, stuff like that. You have to get all these things in place, and sometimes it's out of your hands how long it takes. So maybe the reforming of the property isn't out of your hands, but the what is getting a tourist license, you can't apply for that until you've got all the air conditionings and everything meets the conditions. So all that's something to bear in mind.
Yeah, always have some extra cash somewhere, because something will be delayed, something will go wrong, and that's not the pessimistic person in me saying that. It's just that's realistically what happens with just about everything.
Plan for the unexpected.
Yeah. And Richard Potts. Oh yeah, same again. So at the 12-month point, is that possible to do the change in country? Yes, it is. And indeed, is that the best approach, or would a Autonomo from the get-go be the best approach? I'd do it from in the country. Having had Rochelle on the show, she's done a lot of the self-employed visa. She was recommending that, I think, as well.
Yeah, because you don't. I think once you're in country and you've got a residency in place, doing the switch would be easier than doing it right from the start, and actually having your permission granted on a self-employed basis. And we've seen a lot with we haven't said we don't do the self-employment, but we do an awful lot of switching types of residency, mainly from visa platforms to EU platforms as well. And if you've got residency, they seem to go very smoothly. It's
a lot easier to do your research as well if you're actually living there, and you can actually almost build up your customers and your clientele as long as you're not taking any money in. You can do your research and get people interested, build up mailing lists and all of that kind of thing, so that when you actually finally get your permission, sign up for your social security and do all of that, register as Autonomo, you can then snap in and you've got all your customers ready and your clients ready to pay their money and kind of join in with the business. Good stuff. Clarabelle says, hi guys, after being on the non-lucrative visa for a year, what would be the next steps to be able to work the year after? Also, Chris, do you deal with student visas too?
No, sadly, we don't do student visas. The reason we don't do work placement visas, student visas, because there's an awful lot that has to be done by the place where you're going to be going to study, or if it's a work contract, then it has to be most of it managed by the people who are going to contract you. So that's hence why we don't get involved. The non-lucrative visas we manage from start to finish. But at the end of the first year, if you wanted to work, you would obviously need to find a job which would meet the requirements, and a company which is willing to commit and give you a contract to get a working visa basically and switch it over. I always say, people ask me this question, I'd say I'd be doing your research now if you're going to be looking for a job, because to be honest, it was hard to get a job even before even before Brexit happened, and everybody had the right to have a job. Contracts were hard to come by, let alone a contract that would qualify for a visa. So you certainly need to make sure that you've got a job lined up, because they're quite hard to come by.
It's easier if you're in the sort of business where they're looking for workers.
Yes.
There's a bit of a shortage, but employment has gone up in Spain, according to the newspapers recently. So there is an upturn. That's good to know. No expectations. It's still a bit confused. Can you get your padron if you're in an Airbnb or hotel? I believe you need the padron before you can book your TIE appointment. So
You
it
can't get
depends.
hotel from temporary accommodation in Airbnb hotel, and you can't. But then, as we said, when you go to an appointment in certain areas, you don't need one for the TA. In
Okay.
certain areas, that is.
Yes. Where did you say you were moving to? No expectations. There we go. Jed says, I agree, Anton cares. YouTube Spain and Upsticks are without doubt the most informative and trustworthy channels around. We'll pay you later. And reliable, been there, done that, lived experience. Brilliant. Thanks for that, Jed. And Ant says, muchas, Jed. All of these things came in about 20 minutes ago. So let's see if we can rush through the any last few questions. I'll zip down the list because we're coming up to the hour now. Emily's got a good one. Got my NIE with an Irish passport, but my husband, UK passport, is still waiting for his appointment. Do we need to worry about his 90 days expiring?
Depends what appointment you're waiting for. So if your husband, the norm would be you've got your agreed residency card and an application for him has gone in to the subdelegation of the government to get his approval as an EU spouse. And that, in those circumstances, then no, there's no need to worry about the 90 days. You just need to wait for the approval to come out and then go and register the TIE card with an appointment. If you haven't made that application to the government for the approval, then yes, then you do need to worry about the 90 days and try and get that application in beforehand.
She says on the next message, application is submitted, but I'm worried it's going to take too long.
No,
Yeah.
that's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. And Stephen Godbold says, morning, Chris. Steve with the buggy. Who's Steve with the buggy?
I'm Steve with the buggy. I had a good conversation with Steve. Steve's bringing a buggy over. Has got a buggy here, but we deduced that unfortunately he can't register it till he comes to live here. So, but thanks for taking my call. We did have a good chat on the phone, so I hope it helped.
Excellent. Expat333 says, hello from a slightly damp computer. It is. The clouds have come down again. As I can see, looking out my window, waiting to collect my TIE from Vélez Malaga, but a bit unsure about the process. Is there any way to find out online if the TIE is ready to collect? It's a good question.
No need, because you're an Upsticks client, so you'll be informed by Jane of everything you need to know.
Excellent.
You can find that online as well. Yeah, you can find out your TIE cards ready on the government website. But we'll drop you an email as soon as we see that the number's dropped in, and go from there.
Yeah, no problem. And James 737 has got NLV from London in late February, came to Mallorca 19th of March, been waiting for TIE appointment ever since. Wow. NLV expires 4th of June, no sign of an appointment. Is this normal? Need to go back to the UK for a month.
Can't go back to the UK until you've got that registered. If it expires on the 4th of June, you need to have your entry stamp in your passport before it expires. And don't leave until you've got that registered.
Yeah. So is it normal for Mallorca to wait that long?
Yeah, at the moment it is. Unfortunately, it's the TIE registration appointments are so hard to get, and I ramble on in my weekly updates about this. But if you're working with anybody who's trying to get them for you, please do your absolute best to go to these appointments, because they are like
rocking horse poo.
I was going to say that, but I'll let you say it. You know where I'm going with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they really are, and they're hard to get. We spend hours, crazy times during the day, and then when they do open, like yesterday, I got in to the house and we had some family actually visiting and stuff, and I just jumped on the computer. I'm just going to have a quick check, and boom, suddenly some appointments open. So I'm like, everybody stop. We've got to get, so you never know. It is quite normal. These appointments aren't coming up. You just check random times of the day as well.
Yeah, James says his immigration lawyer has been using a bot to try and get TIE appointment, but no luck. See, even artificial intelligence can't do it.
Yeah, and they're cracking down on them bots as well. You have to be a bit careful of that. But yeah, it is a bit crazy at the moment. I mean, this week we had to send one of our clients, this poor lady, who's struggling to stand in a queue. really, and you have to sit outside and it's very hot, but you've just got to go because there's no way of changing the appointment.
No, indeed. Right, last few questions. No expectations is driving through France to Spain. Will I get an entry stamp? This is a good one. If not, how do I prove when I've entered Spain?
You would need to have a declaración de entrada. So you're going to get your entry stamp will be in France. You won't get one at the border. So you have to go to the police and get a bit of paper basically declare that you're here. And that would be your entry stamp into Spain, or substitute the entry stamp into Spain.
Yeah, we've both got videos and website blogs all about those things. Oh, my brain's starting to fade. Here we go. It is the hour. Question for Chris. What areas of Spain does Upsticks cover, i.e. Costa Blanca up to Valencia?
Yes, so we have 4 NLVs. We cover everywhere from Cadiz all the way up to Valencia. And that's helping you to organise your NLV, and then this end helping you in person actually at the appointment to register the NLV, so we can cover all of that personally. For EU residencies, we cover Andalusia, and at times it depends really on people's situations whether we cover Alicante or not. That's it. We have to do a bit of a consultation on that because it's not always possible to do so. But we do cover Valencia and Murcia as well for EU applications.
Yeah, great stuff.
And Lanzarote. I forgot to mention Lanzarote.
Oh, Lanzarote.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. James says, oh yeah, immigration lawyer has been using a bot to try and get TIE appointment, but no luck. Essential to visit UK soon, but leaving Spain before getting the TIE registered will mean a return to the dreaded 9180 regime on return. Well, would it mean that you'd have to completely reapply for your visa again?
Yeah, no, you can't. If they wouldn't give you if your entry stamp, if you're trying to register your visa with an entry stamp which is after the visa's expired, and you haven't even had your appointment, then yeah, essentially it could annul your visa. So you've got to really stay with that entry stamp before it expires and wait for this appointment to come up.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. Sounds like essential to visit UK soon. Sounds like something very important. Sorry about that, James.
Yeah.
Suzanne Saxon. Hi guys, if we bought a Spanish registered car in the UK without a valid ITV, how could we bring it back to Spain? Oh, a car question at last.
Yeah. Well, in theory, you'd have to put it on a trailer. You can't drive a vehicle without an ITV. So it has to be trailered here and brought over and then put through its ITV to be able to be legally driven.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, there's lots of people saying amazing, absolutely helpful, very grateful. And it's not raining in France anymore. Only joking. Yeah, that was a surprise. Robbo says, rocking horse poo, not heard that one before. Chocolate Fireguard is another one.
Yeah.
And thank you for answering the question, says James. No expectation says, so I don't need a padron from Malaga for the TIE. I was told we needed the padron before we could even book our TIE appointment. We only have a 2-week period from entry to get everything done.
No. There's now this is very dependent on the person you get behind the desk. But in Malaga, on the first registration, they're not as strict on the padron, and we've done it many times about.
Yeah, so get Chris to do it for you.
Though we do always encourage people, if possible, to get the padron. We'd rather go with the padron, but if it in circumstances is impossible, then we won't.
Yeah. Lovely. And says, time's up, chaps. Extra time or to be continued. Yeah, absolutely. Good message to everybody. If you've got any more questions, then best ask them on the in the comments. That's what they're called. Ask in the comments below. So, and to everybody that's watching afterwards, you can only ask in the comments below. You don't get the opportunity of the live chat. So next time, join us on while we're live. And you know, unless you live in America, in which case it's like still 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, depending on which part of America you're in. And so what else do we need to say? Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe and click on the bell if you haven't already, so you'll be the first to know what's coming up each week on the live shows and the midweek videos. And before I tell you what's on next week's show, very exciting, let's all say a huge thank you to Chris. Give him a massive virtual hug and a kiss, and we'll see you in 2 weeks when we'll be, I believe what we planned is we're going to take everybody through how to fill in the forms for the non-lucrative visa. We've been wanting to do a form filling program for a long time, and I don't know whether we're going to, I think we'll do it live as much as we can. And we were talking about getting an extra camera, so that I can be filling in a form on my desk while we're doing it. So if I can set another camera up here and be actually doing it live while you take us through the form, that might be a really good way of doing it. We'll see. We'll talk about that, and I think that will make a good show. And the 2 weeks after that, we'll do the residency forms, I think. So that sounds like a good one. There we go then, and that's it. So bye for now, Chris. We'll see you soon.
See you later, guys.
Okay, so who do I have on the show next week? Drum roll. Tiddly-boom. He's been on the show at least once before. I can't remember if it's once or twice. It's our friend Fran, the property lawyer. He's local to this part of the coast down. I think he's in Motril, which is, I think it's Granada province. So he's just out of Malaga province down there. And he's going to take us through the top 10 mistakes that people make when they're buying a property in Spain. And I've seen the notes for this, and it's some excellent advice there. It's going to be an awesome show. Looking forward to chatting with Fran again. And don't forget, you can ask questions in advance on our Facebook page. There's also a Facebook group. That's the private one. The Facebook page is the public one. Facebook community group is the private one. You can also ask under this video or under any of the videos. Feel free to chat away and share your experiences of moving to Spain and living here. I notice that Suzanne Saxon has just put a question down there. Sorry, that's dropped in a bit too late for. Let's just put it up on screen and check out what that says. What's the average cost of registering a UK or other European car in Spain? Just trying to weigh up our options. As we know, second-hand cars in Spain are so expensive. Thanks. Get in touch with Upsticks Drive, Suzanne Saxon. I'm not sure of the email address. You could go to office@upsticks.es and ask the question there. And preferably have a think about what particular car it is, because it is dependent on the car and a lot of other things. There's a lot of it depends there. I know from doing programs about it with Chris before, and Chris and his wife Lara, who's running that side of the business now, have all of the figures for you. Paul Cook says perhaps post a link to the form so we can download it ready. That's a good point, yes. And I do have links to the various different forms. There are several different forms that we'll talk about. I don't know the numbers of them off my head, but there's the payment form, and there's the visa application form, and there's the one other, EX01 or something like that. Yes, so I'll try and post links to them in the show. We'll be all prepared for that. Thank you for reminding me, Paul. But yeah, you can get them on both mine and Chris's websites as well. So definitely. And everybody's saying thank you very much for all your help. And yes, thank you to all of you. And let's just take that one off the screen there. And yeah, so thanks to everybody on the live chat. We've covered this. We've covered all of your questions, which I'm very happy about. And we didn't even need to fill in with any questions off. One of the questions was, what is a visa? Which is interesting. And another one is, are you married? I'm not sure whether that's a question that somebody asked about visas or not, or whether it was just a personal question that came up. Frequently asked question. But I suppose it's what happens if I am married? What changes to the visas? Anyway, we'll get to those questions on another day. And thanks for supporting us. And anyone who's clicked the, I don't know whether it's buymeacoffee.com or whether it's a GoFundMe. It's the GoFundMe link I've got up there, which is the one to support me on the cancer battle. So if you haven't already donated, then please do that. It's a win-win-win with a cherry on top. And make sure you hit the like button, support us, and what's the other thing? I don't know, but we'll see you soon, either on the midweek video, that's on a Wednesday, or on the video diary on Fridays, or live on this show on Saturday mornings at the regular time of 9 o'clock if you're in the UK or Ireland or Portugal or the Channel Islands, 10 o'clock if you're in Spain or Central Europe, and 4 o'clock in the morning if you're in New York. And so that is all for this week. Somebody pass around the Ask Me Anything cookies. Peas and fluff, peace and love. And here is one final message from all of those voices inside my head. Bye for now.
Goodbye. Toodaloo.
Peace and love.
Peas and fluff.
Oi, oi!
Don't do anything I wouldn't do.
One more cosmic dance?
All right then. Look, Mum, I'm dancing. Oh, I'm all a quiver.
Let's dance.